evening, my name is Alex Hamill.
I'm Jasper.
And you're watching a desperate attempt to gain some clicks. So both the UN and Drummer and Ashford are fucking after Marco now. He's been terroristing it up in Terrorist Town. Avasarala made a massive miscalculation in trying to apprehend him, which has led to all these fucking belters brutally dying on a ship.
And her own Marines.
Yep, which was filmed and then released, and then just sent her approval rating down, as it should have been, because she did like act too quick. And then yeah, I guess the big payoff for her in this episode, after that actually everything goes terribly wrong. But yeah, she's like open and honest about her failings as a politician and like actually shows remorse and says she did wrong and then like cries and is sad and emotional. Do you think that tactic as a politician could ever work? Because
No, but that was the point. That's why she leaked the Eros.
Yeah.
The new Terror.
Yeah, the footage of all the fucking.
She knew it wasn't going to work. She had to change the news feed narrative. Yeah,
because the narrative as a politician is always, I am a competent leader and nothing else, and I can never do wrong.
Well, that was that chick, the chick who's running against her.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, you know, I saw like I want to acknowledge how well, like how much she, like how truthful she was in her speech and yada yada yada, and that she's accepted the blame, like she made sure to put emphasis on that, and that was going to be her strategy. And then they were like, what about this new terror footage? And she's like, what the fuck,
what's going on here? Yeah, so she fucking leaks footage of these mountains spinning around on New Terror / Ilus to fucking freak the public out, because in the past she has been empowering.
Well, that's her political, that's what she's running on, is to stop people from going through the gate, whereas that other chick is trying to run on. Open the gates up and let people through.
Avasarala's narrative is this is fucking horribly dangerous.
Yeah,
we've been on the brink of destroying everything like 3 or 4 times. And Nancy Gow's fucking narrative is the economy is fucked, nobody has jobs, everyone's on fucking universal basic income, there's no fucking industries, and then we get this new world opening up. So they're both right in their own ways.
It has been a very sad day, but our Secretary General's words to the families of the Marines and her honesty for accepting the blame for her missteps show why she is such an honorable woman.
Miss Gow, do you have any comments on the new images from New Terra?
Do they change your position on the ring gate and exploring new worlds?
And then yeah, she goes too far. Her husband's like, what is wrong with you? Her husband also gets angry at her using her son in her speech, and
yeah, that was a bit weird.
In the book, Shana Parrot,
she brings up her son all the time.
Yeah, but he died in a skiing accident in the book.
Oh really?
Yeah, he like fell and hit his head doing some like bourgeois like sport recreational activity.
Okay.
And then in the show it's like he died in the military, because yeah, you can't kind of bring up your son dying from skiing in that moment. I can relate to you. I'm not a upper class politician. My son died skiing. It's like, okay, fuck you, bitch. Yeah, so she takes it all too far. She doesn't know when to stop. Her ambition hurts her at a certain point, because she can't pull back from the reins and go, okay, I've lost.
No, she can't. She has to win.
Yeah.
So that's how she's got this far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you know, you need to slow down. Also,
well, I mean, there are future events that would be very. There are future events that will happen that would make it so that would make a very good argument that she didn't actually go hard enough.
Yeah, true. Because yeah, after this season, her politician like run is over, she's lost, and then she's doing something else.
Yeah.
With Warby.
Well,
maybe.
We'll see.
I said to you earlier too that season 5 poster, Melba is rather big on it. She wasn't in the trailer at all.
No.
And then you said something about this Peaches thing, and now she's rather big on the poster, Jasper. Melba. On the poster.
Yeah.
Alex was on the poster too.
Oh well, okay. That's a good sign, I guess.
Yeah, they haven't completely cut him out. I mean, Cass Anvar wasn't in the little panel. They had a little panel for season 5. He wasn't on that.
Oh really?
No, you can't have him there. Of course you can't.
Well, I mean, like, but did he get investigated at all? Did any of that lead anywhere?
He's getting investigated.
He's getting investigated.
They weren't like, you're fired. They're like, well, we're going to investigate into these claims and see if there is any.
Because those claims were a fair while ago now.
Yeah, they're still investigating. They haven't said anything.
Just keep them away from fucking Comic-Cons and
people in general.
Yeah.
Just enclose him in a fucking cage and then roll him out onto the set to do his fucking Southern pilot fucking shit. That's all we need him for.
Yeah.
We have to talk about that tether too. So the Rossi tethers itself to the Barber collar, and you pointed out that
they're all standing around this fucking cable.
High tension
cable, and they're just standing around it as if it's like a photo op or something.
Yeah,
it's like, get the fuck away from that cable, you spastic.
The cable is here and Naomi's face is here, and not like when it's working, but when it's like
under tension and they're towing another shit.
When they first get it under tension too, it's all lax and then.
Yeah, well, there's a scene where they connect these two ships together via a cable, and they go, okay, now we're gonna fire up the Rocinante's thruster to try to tow the Baba Bacola, and Naomi's standing right next to the fucking cable when they fire. It's like, no, you need to get into the ship and be away from this, because if that fucking thing snaps.
Okay, Alex, we're set. Cable's connected.
Copy that. I'm gonna give her a little thrust. Hang tight. Here goes nothing.
And you see it hook on and like, the cable's
it's just a little
thick, but there's
clip.
a pin, there's like a pin. As you said, for like towing a ship, you think it'd be this big fucking huge shackle. Yeah, it's a little ding. I guess that's just a design and budgetary thing. Like,
it's also the idea of like future tech where they can make this crazy. Their metallurgy is so amazing that they can make these crazy.
The sci-fi out. It's super titanium, a million more times stronger than titanium, or some fucking bullshit.
Because you got to worry about things over those sorts of distances. Because you got to remember, these ships and stuff aren't small, and when they're realistically talking about those kinds of distance, when you're in orbits around the Earth. Distances are very different to what they are in, like, on the Earth. They're vastly more huge. So we're talking about kilometers of cable.
That's fair.
And so you got to start to worry about the mass and the weight of the cable itself. If you make the cable too big, then its own mass will start to pull it down into the atmosphere, and you're gonna have issues with tension. And
you tether to the Baba Bacola as it fucking goes down.
Well, this is why in the book they didn't use a towing cable. They had to weld the two ships together. They brought the two ships in close proximity and built a fuck off big scaffold between the two ships.
Yeah, and then like they were on the fucking brink of going down. They kept on firing the fucking pulse cannon just to get like a bit more, and they're like, we got like fucking 10 more hours. Because they're running on battery power because the reactor's out, so they only have so many like pulse cannon uses they can use. And Alex is like, we got like another 10 hours out of that. I think we can do like 2 more maybe, and then we're fucked. They never get to a point where they're like, okay, we've done it. They're just on the brink of death the entire fucking time. There's also great character moments with Amos in this episode. Jordan Peterson often talks about like the ideal man in a woman's eyes being like a monster that's under control. There's a large amount of like women's erotica that's like vampires, werewolves, like monsters, the whole Beauty and the Beast thing. Women are attracted to this idea of a monster that's under control, and Amos, for the most part, is able to like handle himself and be, you know, somewhat civil. But yeah, as soon as his fucking eyesight goes, like the chain of command is gone.
It's an interesting thing though, right? So he's able to. Amos is. This is like Amos's breaking point. He's up until this point, he's never had anything that even really phases him.
Yeah, he's been under control.
His whole character arc.
Yeah.
Is that just like he can handle himself in virtually every single situation.
Yeah, he loses his eyesight here and completely falls apart.
This is the moment where it's like, okay, I can't see. There's fucking
death slugs
everywhere.
Yeah.
We're in sort of a giant alien fucking. Ruin. Like it's just
I can't do anything.
I'm
as a character,
utterly powerless.
I'm the tank, and the tank is utterly useless in this situation.
Well, even in this, it was at the end of this episode, Holden says to him, you know, we've synthesized a cure for the blindness, and he's like, I didn't think you could pull this off.
Yeah. He thought he was fucking done.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the chain of command completely falls apart. Instead of like Holden asks him for the flamethrower because he's burning these bugs. He's like, nah, no more, yes, Captain. It's like that term. There's no atheists in foxholes.
Yes.
So when everything's good and fine, you don't need the support network. But as soon as something bad happens, the worst fucking comes out in people, and the worst comes out in him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Holden is also, the only source able to do anything in this episode, I think.
Well, in the books, from what I remember in the books, one of the big things was his lack of sleep because he's running from these different camps to try and like keep everybody safe, and he just does not have time to sleep, and this goes on for fucking days.
And then he just gets done with the fucking death slug thing and the blindness thing. They get out and they get the cure, and he's laying down in his fucking tent. He's like, finally I can sleep. And then Miller appears, and the book did this great thing where like Miller would like phase into the world in some fashion, but if it didn't make any like logical physical sense, Holden would get this sharp like stabbing pain in the head. So Miller like comes out, but he doesn't fit in the tent. It's like a one-person tent, so Holden sees him and he's like half in, half out of the tent. He's like, my fucking head. There's another part also where like when Miller goes into that giant like mining mech robot thing, and Holden's like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. He's like, oh, I can be Miller as well, and he like phases Miller on top of that, and Holden's like, my fucking head. So Holden just lays down, just ready to go to fucking bed. Miller rocks up, gives him a splitting fucking knife to the temple, and is like, you need to get in this car, we're going down to the heart of the fucking planet, we're gonna fix the problem. So he's so fucking sleep deprived and covered in mud and hungry and fucked and wrecked. I've been reading The Hobbit to Ella as well, and it struck me far more in the book that when they're in Mirkwood and they're trying to find their way out, all the dwarfs and Bilbo and whatnot, they're like on the brink of like starvation.
They're
starvation is such a big element of that narrative.
Bombard drinks from the fucking from the thing, and he's unconscious.
And they have no idea where they go, and they just keep on wandering out randomly in there. And Bilbo keeps on talking about like another fucking belt notch. She's getting thinner and thinner. And it talks about them being emaciated and like dying of hunger. But none of that in the movie. I don't know. We need more starvation sequences, Jasper. That's what media needs.
Maybe.
That's fair.
1984 was probably the best one for that. Where he's pulling that tooth out, or he's pulling his teeth out in the mirror. That's crazy.
The book and the movie are fucking a rough slog, and then you get to the end and you're like, whoa. The final line is, spoilers, Winston finally knew truly in his heart that he did in fact love Big Brother. And you're like, oh no. That's where we end this? Terrible.
It was great.
I watched Brave New World on Stan.
Okay.
The Aldous Huxley book, and I've never read the book, but it's always like put aside 1984 as like the dystopia, like one of the first ever dystopias. And I haven't read the book, so I don't know what the book is, but the show is vastly different to what I thought.
Oh, okay.
1984 is like really dark and about survival, and the stakes are so high the whole time. But this was more of an examination of like social profiles and like society and the upper crust and lower crust.
Yeah, how society is. I don't know that I've read the whole book, but yeah, how society, how they've instituted like a class system, and they like they, from what I remember, they control the oxygen to the fetus, but like during development, so is that they can create these class systems, so they have different levels of intelligence for people to function in different roles in society and stuff, and all sorts of crazy shit.
I was expecting like this 1984 type thing where like they're constantly trying to survive, but and I was like, oh, you misspoke at this party. And the main character was the guy who played Han Solo in that fucking Solo spin-off movie.
Oh, okay, so it's a new one, is it?
Yeah, it's just come out on Stan. It's like a 8-part series. And he didn't do much for me, He didn't do much for me at all. It wasn't charismatic. It didn't engage me as like an actor or a character. It was just like...
What, in the Han Solo one or in this?
In this. I think he gave a bit more in the Solo one. He couldn't sustain his fucking effort over the 10-part series. He could do it for a fucking 2-hour movie.
Well...
so right at the end, we get a little positive note. The Rossi and the Barbacola are getting better.
Yep.
The eyes have been cured.
Yep.
We're all gonna be alright.
And then Miller rocks up. He starts screaming.
It's like glitching in and out of Proto Miller and normal Miller.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a thing in the book, right? Miller was just Miller.
I think so.
Yeah, and I don't know whether they really ever went into whether he was a suit, proto-molecule wearing a Miller suit, or whether he was something else. But in this, it's very much...
So there's whole chapters of him where it's from his perspective. It
reaches out, it reaches out, it reaches out.
Yeah, that's Miller. That's what Miller is at that point.
And
I think the whole point is that the distinctions of consciousness that you're talking about sort of start to get very muddy at that point. What is and isn't Miller is kind of...
Yeah. Then the show does a thing where, it's like... It was just a proto-molecule completely manipulating Holden, and then Miller's able to get something out, and there's this other version of Miller, so there's 2 versions of Miller.
Yeah, so like my understanding of it is that every time that basically the way it works is that the proto-molecule has recorded all of the conscious, like the patterns of consciousness from everybody that was on Eros. And it identified Miller as being able to solve puzzles.
Yeah, he's the detective.
He's the detective. So it uses that, it's using that pattern to try to solve puzzles, because it itself doesn't have any kind of intelligence.
Yeah, it's just this fucking organism.
Every time the pattern of Miller sort of it goes outside of its parameters, right? It has the pattern has been given parameters to work with, and every time it goes outside of those parameters, it gets destroyed, creates a new pattern, and it goes again. And by the end of it, I believe he's breaking out of those parameters without being killed. And that's what happens.
Yeah, he's not resetting every fucking...
And so it's a thing where it's like, well, is this Miller? It seems to be that it's functioning under its own agency.
Yeah.
So
there is some level of Miller within it. Yeah. So in conclusion, we're getting through it, Jasper.
Yeah.
We're getting through it.
Season 5 is going to be exciting.
I'm stoked.
I'm excited for season 5.
Well, we'll see you later.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.